Hey up everybody, welcome back to the I'll Do Cycling YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Velogames Benelux Tour. So this is formerly known as the Binkbank Tour or the Eneco Tour. It's changed sponsors throughout the years, but that's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on who to pick onto your team. So rather surprisingly, Remco Evenepoel, 26 points, hey? That's a lot. We haven't seen many 26 point riders on teams which you need 9 riders for. I think we've only really seen, like Froome and the likes of that in the previous years. Is Evenepoel worth it for 26? He could be, because he is probably odds-on favourite to win this race. He's, the last 2 races is like the Troyen course and then the Brussels Cycling Classic. He's just soloed off. He won the Tour of Denmark about 3 weeks ago, and clearly he's just riding this fantastic wave of form, building towards the European champs and then the world champs. I think Evenepoel is absolute favourite to win this race. Is he worth it for 26? If he wins, he gets that 300 points at the end. He'll probably solo off and win a stage. Can anybody actually keep up with him? Probably not. But it just depends whether you think you can build a team that's better using like multiple riders rather than having all those credits invested in Evenepoel. So you got his teammate Asgreen for 20. My opinion with Asgreen is that if Evenepoel attacks, then Asgreen's just going to be sitting in and might not do as well. So is Asgreen going to be as good of an option as people are thinking? He'll of course put in a really good TT, but I'm not sure if Asgreen will win because Evenepoel will be attacking. Asgreen could very much still finish on the podium though, which still makes him a very expensive and worthy rider. Dumoulin's also 20, more than likely after his performance at the Tokyo Olympics the TT, where he finished second. He was flying there. If I had to pick Casper Asgreen or Dumoulin, I'd say Casper, just because we've seen a bit more of him this season. Dumoulin has had literally that one performance, and people have kind of perhaps bigged that up more than it actually is, and perhaps Asgreen is the safer option to go with. Although I would not be surprised if Dumoulin did win, like the TT for example. Solen, I'm not too keen on for 18. I'd much rather pick Mohoric. And that's the thing with a lot of these riders at the moment, is that pretty much every single rider down to the 10 pointers is a good pick. So it's going to make it quite difficult for me to recommend people to put on. But I can say that Solen probably isn't great. He's not the Solen that we saw after the Tour at the end of last year. He's had a bit of an off year, and I'm not quite sure what's up. Mohoric, on the other hand, we've just saw Tour of Poland. He's flying. He's going to be going for bonus seconds. He's a very dangerous rider, kind of like Evenepoel, where he'll be attacking quite long. I think somebody who everybody should put on their team is Mads Pedersen. After a very successful Tour of Denmark, and then also went to the Tour of Norway, he can TT, he can sprint, and he can get over those climbs, which means that he can pretty much contest every single stage here, which makes him incredibly dangerous for 16 points. I think out of all the people that I can say, yes, put them on, it's Mads Pedersen. Sagan, I'd probably say no. Ewan is a complicated one because he's coming back from injury, and I'm not sure if he's quite back into the swing of it yet. Groenewegen, on the other hand, is probably the fastest sprinter here, although Malia is coming. He's just not on this start list just yet. So if Malia is also 14, you could pick him as well. If Malia is cheaper than Groenewegen, like if he's 12, I'd probably say go with Malia instead. Stuyven, wait and see how he does at the Britannia Classic today. Geraint Thomas probably not. Tim Wellens did good at the Tour of Poland and has won this race in the past, but he said in an interview that he literally just couldn't go with Evenepoel when he attacked, which means that he's probably not going to be winning this race. Tige Benoit, probably not. Colbrelli, him and Mohoric are an incredibly dangerous duo. I'm not really sure how they'll split things up though, is the only thing. Colbrelli won't be sprinting because they of course have Bauhaus. Fulsang, no. Gaviria, maybe. Kelderman, probably not. Stefan Kung's good for 12. He came third in this race last year, I think. Yeah, third. Might win the TT and will also finish pretty high up on GC. 10 pointers, I'll just pick the ones that I like. Case Ball, there's like 3 sprint stages, so he could do pretty good there. Mark Hirschi, possibly. Christophe Laporte won't be sprinting because they have Viviani here, but he could do good on GC. Brandon McNulty is a bit of an unknown over these kind of cobbled terrains. Moscon hasn't looked great recently. Neither has Narsson or Van Avermaet. I'd say Mike Turnisson's probably a decent option after looking good at the Tour of Denmark. 8 pointers, you've got a lot of sprinters here. You've got Bauhaus, you've got Garcia Cortina, and you've got Hodge. I'd say that all those are great picks. and trying to pick one over the other is quite difficult. You perhaps might see that Ivan Garcia might be more of a GC contender more than the other two. Other than that, I'd say Dylan Teuns isn't taking part. Gianni Vermeersch could be a nice outside bet for a top 10 on GC. 6-pointers, you're going to be needing to pay attention to the 6-pointers and the 4-pointers because of all the expensive GC guys at the top. You need to get those really good guys towards the bottom end who are better value, and I'd say number one is the first 6-pointer there is. It's Eduardo Affini. He could definitely win that TT on stage 2. Plus, he might be getting assist points for Groenewegen in the sprints and Dumoulin in terms of GC, so I think that Affini's a great shout. Aini Olowski, they also have Timothy Dupont here, so therefore it's not guaranteed who's sprinting. I'd therefore just avoid those two because you just don't know who's going to be doing what. Nikias Arndt won a stage of the Tour of Poland and then came 7th in the TT. I think he's a decent shout, especially if you consider that perhaps Solon might not be on the greatest form. On some of those harder days, Nikias Arndt might be able to sprint, and he also could finish top 10 in that TT. Rudy Barbier is a sprinter but hasn't looked too brilliant. Samuel Bastella will be supporting Fuglsang more than likely, but could have his own opportunities. There's Dupont. Other than that, you do have some other good ones further down, like Moschetti and Lipins. I think that they'll be sprinting for Pedersen to get those bonus seconds, so I'm not really sure how free Moschetti will be to sprint. Other than that, you do have some other ones. Matteo Sobrero possibly for GC, but he didn't look great at Poland, so I'm not overly sure on that. Jake Stewart is still 6 points, which is a fantastic one because he's more than likely the fastest guy on that FDJ team, which means that Kung's probably not going to be fast enough to get bonus seconds, but you're definitely going to see Jake Stewart contesting quite a few stages, I think, here. And also, like, he's quite good over the cobbles, which means that he might do okay on GC as well. Yasha Sutherland usually puts in like a top 15 in GC at the Binkbank Tour, Benelux Tour, so he could well do that again. I think I've had him on last year. Other than that, I don't think there's any other 6-pointers. 4-pointers, I'm literally just looking for time trialists, really. There are a couple, there's like one sprinter in here. So the TTers, you've got Miles Scottson, you've got Tom Bowley, there's Ryan Mullen, there's Jonathan Milan, who's the gold medalist for the team pursuit alongside like Ghana and stuff. Baron Victorious say that they're going to be like, he's going to be going like full gas for that TT because it suits him. You've got Matthias Norsgaard, who else you got? There's Scottson there. You've got Arnie Mari, who is a little bit further up. There he is, Arnie Mari for Sport Vlaanderen. He's quite fast in a sprint finish, so he could be quite a surprise, I think. Again, we're scraping the barrel here. I think that's about it. Overall, I think your safest options are probably something like, just for TTs, like Scottson, Norsgaard, Milan. If you wanted to go a bit more risky, then go with Arnie Mari for Sport Vlaanderen. But yeah, I just think the TTs, even if they come, like, I don't know, if they come a top 10 in that TT stage, that's probably quite a good result. You might see that Scottson or Milan might get some assist points in terms of their GC riders who are a little bit further up. So I think what we'll do now is, now I've gone through everybody, we'll go through like some teams that you could pick. So I've got this team up on screen. You've got Remco at the top, Pedersen, Kung, Asgreen. So really you can select 4 riders for GC if you have Evenepoel in your team. If you take him out, you can get up to about 5. I think it's quite, if you go past 5, you start to get to a point where you don't really have the favourites, you just have a lot of outsiders on your team. And then I've got Affini, Arndt, Stewart, Scottson and Milan at the bottom of the team, just filling out the slots. I'm not expecting these guys to get a crazy amount of points. I think if each of them could, like, if the 6-pointers could all get something around 200, that would be really good. I'd expect probably a bit more from Stewart. I think he could certainly get somewhere more like 300 perhaps. Yeah, then you've got the 4-pointers, Scottson and Milan down below. So let's say this is your team for Evenepoel. You could swap it around. If you didn't want Kung, you could go with, you can put Mohoric on here, and then you can take Asgreen off and put on a 14-pointer. You could put on anyone that you like. I quite like Groenewegen, just because he's really flying at the moment, and with those 3 sprint stages, he's probably got the strongest lead out here as well. I think that Groenewegen could easily take 2 stages of this. I think 3 might be a bit of a push, especially if Malia's here. But I think that Groenewegen could certainly win a couple of stages. If you didn't want Evenepoel, let's say you wanted, I don't know, let's say you wanted Kung instead. Let's just put that out there. So then you save 14. Let's say that you used a few of those on Groenewegen because you didn't want him, and you're like, I actually think that Dumoulin is going to do really well. Then you could put those 8 points into a 4-pointer to get a 12-pointer. That could be Malia. That would be a good shout if he was 12. Or you could put them up to, I don't know, a Colbrelli, for example. Or you could upgrade a 6-pointer like Stuart Arturafini, and you could get a 14-pointer. I'd probably say your best ones are Wellens and Groenewegen, or maybe Stuyven, depending on how he comes out of the Britannia Classic, which will finish later today. In terms of what I'm thinking of doing, at the moment I'm leaning towards putting Evenepoel on, just because I do think he's going to win. I think he's just, out of all the guys here, he's very, very dangerous. He's probably got the best form at the moment. In terms of what I'm thinking in this part, I'm thinking Groenewegen, just because I'm quite liking that kind of vibe at the moment. So I've got kind of 3 guys for GC, a sprinter. Pedersen's also kind of like a sprinter. Then I've got all these guys filling out. It's a very difficult team to make, and I'm trying to, even gather my own thoughts as to who I'm going to put on my team. But I think I'll just end the video here. Of course, if you have any teams that you want a second opinion on, put them down below in the comments, or hook me up on Twitter at Paddy Blake with an extra E, because these are difficult teams to make, and I'm not sure if just me telling you is going to be incredibly useful, because there are so many team iterations that you could go with here that any one of them could do well, because there's so many good riders, all the way from 26 points down to like 10 points. They're all really good. So yeah, that's it. Let me know who you're going to pick. Let me know if I've missed anybody. Keep your mask on, stay safe, and I will talk to you next time. Salut.